I've been working trails for 8 years. Before that, 2 years as a seasonal tech. I know the Appalachians the way some people know their own backyard, the way the light falls through a ridgeline in October, which creek beds flood and when, how long it takes for bear activity to push a deer corridor a half-mile east. I'm not someone who gets rattled. I've had black bears bluff charge from 10 feet out. I've pulled bodies from gorges. I've done overnight backcountry rotations in February when the wind makes the trees sound like something screaming. I don't talk about Section 12 anymore. What I'm going to tell you happened over 6 weeks in late summer, 3 years ago. I've never reported it in full. I filed the incident reports for the physical findings. Those are on record. I left out everything else. If I'd written what I actually experienced, I'd be talking to a different kind of professional right now. Maybe I still should. The first thing happened on a Tuesday in August. Nothing dramatic, and that's exactly the part that makes you dismiss it early. I was doing a routine sweep of the backcountry access trail off the north end of the park, Section 12A, which runs along a ridgeline above a creek drainage that doesn't see much foot traffic. Maybe a dozen permitted hikers bother with it in a full season. Dense mixed hardwood, good elevation, a hard slog for low reward. Beautiful country. Nothing usually there. I found the deer about a quarter mile off the marked trail. It wasn't a predator kill. I've seen cougar kills, bear kills, coyote pack work. I know what the scene looks like, the drag patterns, the feeding sequence, what gets eaten first and in what order. This was something different. The deer was intact except for the head, which had been removed cleanly at the neck. Not torn, not chewed, severed. The body had been placed, and I use that word deliberately, on a flat boulder outcropping. Front legs folded under it, rear legs extended, set belly down like someone had arranged it carefully before walking away. No blood trail leading to it. Almost no blood at the site at all. I photographed it, filed a report that said, unusual predator activity, possible human interference, carcass removed for examination. The lab came back inconclusive on cause of death. I moved on. Second incident was 2 weeks later. Permit check at the Eastern Backcountry Campsite, Section 12C. A family of 4 was registered but gone by the time I arrived, which wasn't unusual. They'd come in the night before and cleared out early. They'd left a note on the camp post, said they'd seen something moving at the tree line around 2 in the morning and decided not to wait for sunrise. Hikers spook. It happens, usually means nothing. I walked the tree line anyway. 40 feet into the trees, at the base of an old red oak, someone had arranged bones on the ground. Not scattered, arranged. A rough circle, maybe 3 feet in diameter, small bones facing inward toward the center. Bird, maybe small mammal. In the center was a single larger bone, a femur, bleached pale and old, placed upright against a root. Someone had carried those out there. Someone had taken their time. I logged it. Suspicious activity, possible ritual materials left by a visitor. Collected everything and handed it to the district office. Ran the permit list. Nothing flagged. And I want to be honest with you. At that point, I wasn't scared. Unsettled, maybe. There are people who do strange things in the woods, things that make no sense to anyone but them. It happens more than the public knows. The third incident was different. Late September. I was alone on an overnight monitoring rotation in Section 12, checking a motion-activated camera we'd placed on a game trail near the north drainage. I reached the camera around 6 in the evening, well before dark. Pulled the memory card. Standard deer activity, nothing unusual. I reset it, aided a boulder overlook maybe 200 feet above the trail. That's when I noticed the smell. There's a specific smell that comes off a large carcass after 4 or 5 days in warm weather. I've encountered it enough times to recognize it immediately. It was coming from the drainage below me, maybe 50 yards down through thick rhododendron and mountain laurel, and it was strong. I made a note to investigate at first light. You don't push through that kind of terrain blind in the dark. Around 10 that night, lying in my tent, I heard movement. I know what deer sound like moving at night. I know what raccoons sound like, what a bear sounds like moving through brush. The difference between a large animal and a person. This was something else. It was deliberate. Not fast, not panicked, methodical. Moving in a circuit around my camp. I could track it by ear. It completed 2 full loops, and then it stopped. 15 feet off the northeast corner of my tent, and it stayed there. Still and quiet for 22 minutes. I timed it on my watch. I had my sidearm. I had my flashlight. I sat with one hand on my holster and I did not open the tent. Your light only reaches so far out in the trees, and beyond it is nothing. Whatever was out there understood that. I knew it the way you sometimes just know things. Something below rational thought. Something older. Eventually it moved off. Slow. No urgency. In the morning I found where it had stood. The leaf litter at that spot was disturbed in a rough oval, 4 feet by 2.5, with deep impressions at the outer edges like something very heavy had been shifting its weight for a long time. In the center of that oval, wedged upright in a crack in an exposed root, was a small carved figure, maybe 3 inches tall. Dark wood, crude but intentional. I couldn't tell you what it was supposed to be. It didn't look like an animal, and it didn't look like a person. It looked like something that was neither. I bagged it. I didn't file a report on it. I still don't know why. Something told me to keep it separate. The 4th time nearly killed me. 3rd week of October. Late afternoon, maybe 4:30. The light drops fast that time of year. You get maybe an hour of usable visibility between full sun and full dark, and under the canopy it goes faster. I was at a trail junction in section 12B, alone, updating blaze markers on the trees. Something came through the brush above me on the slope. Fast. Not deer fast. Faster than that and heavier. The sound of something large moving at full speed through dense growth. I turned toward it with my hand on my sidearm. I thought, bear. I thought, hold your ground, make yourself large. It wasn't a bear. I can't describe it cleanly, and I've tried. My brain refused to process it in any organized way. What I can tell you is that it was very tall, taller than it had any right to be. It was moving on 2 legs, but the movement was wrong. A forward-folded, lurching gait that shouldn't have been fast, but was. Something in the proportions was off in a way I couldn't name. The coloring wasn't black or brown. It was something in between that seemed to pull the remaining light toward it rather than reflect it. It was coming straight down the slope at me. I ran. I know the protocol. I know you don't run from an apex predator. I ran anyway, because in that fraction of a second my entire body understood simultaneously that nothing in any training manual I'd ever read covered what was coming toward me. I had 3/4 of a mile to the trailhead in my truck. I took the access trail at full sprint with my sidearm drawn and my flashlight bouncing in my offhand, and I could hear it behind me in the trees. It didn't follow me on the trail. It ran parallel to me through the forest, maybe 30 feet off my left shoulder, and I could track it by the sound. Branches snapping, heavy impacts on the ground. Something large moving through timber like timber was barely an obstacle. It kept pace with me without effort. That was the part that reached into my chest and grabbed something. It wasn't running to catch me. It was running alongside me, like it was watching. About 400 yards from the trailhead, it hit me. I don't know if it crossed the trail or if I veered toward it. What I know is that something connected with my left side from behind, shoulder, upper back, and put me into the ground hard enough that the impact knocked my sidearm out of my hand and the breath out of my lungs. I rolled onto my back, and already I could feel the warmth of blood before the pain arrived. That brief window where the body hasn't registered the damage yet. I looked up. It was at the edge of the tree line, maybe 15 feet away. Still, just watching. I couldn't see a face. I couldn't make out features. Just the shape of it in the dying light. The wrong proportions. The darkness of it that wasn't the same as the darkness of the trees behind it. It wasn't breathing hard. It wasn't agitated. It was standing there the way something stands when it's decided to wait. I found my sidearm in the leaves. I fired twice into the tree line. Not at it, off to the side. Just the noise and the muzzle flash. And I ran. I don't remember the last 100 yards to my truck clearly. I remember locking the door. I remember sitting in the running vehicle for a long time before I could make myself drive. The ER documented 4 parallel lacerations across my left shoulder and upper back. Deep, evenly spaced. The attending asked what attacked me. I told him I didn't know. A ranger who doesn't know what attacked him. They flagged it as unknown animal contact, possible large predator. The spacing was too wide for anything on record in the region. Nobody pushed it. 3 years later, I still have those scars. The tissue healed tight. Every time I reach the wrong way, I feel the pull of it. And for just a second, I'm back at that trailhead with the engine running, and my hands shaking, and that thing at the tree line that didn't need to hurry. I filed for a permanent reassignment out of Section 12 the following week. Told my supervisor it was a personal scheduling preference. He approved it without a single question. I still go to work. I still know these mountains. I am not a person who believes in things he can't explain. I don't have an explanation. I don't go back in there.